But the reality is you face things even in college. Like I remember a professor pulling me into his office, and telling me no girl could write this code. There isn't going to be one solution. There's lots of factors that come into play in creating inclusive, collaborative environment. But I do think to get some of that inclusivity is to expand the identity of what software engineering actually means.
Yes, you're nailing it. I really agree. How do we expand the identity of what a software developer is? So I am here with Trisha Broderick, and there is the Agile community, and then there is the community within the community. And there are people who are like the true makers of Agile in so many ways, and they're not very well known, and this is one of them. And I'm so honored. And I want to talk to you about Agile. So, as you know, I love software.
Oh, no, I did not know. I mean, shocker right there.
Yes. But I feel like it has, not intentionally, but it has become a very exclusive thing. And only certain people, like white guys like me, have been sort of in it. And I really want to see software be available to everyone. So I started a new YouTube channel. I have a couple hundred subscribers. And when I look at my statistics, 100% of them are male.
Really?
And I want to find ways to get women involved, to get people from the East involved, because you guys have so much to contribute to this. Software is very different than what, people think. It's not logical. It's very creative. It's very inspirational.
Yeah.
And so I want to share, I want to get your ideas on this.
Yeah. The reality is, so I'm a computer science grad from Michigan State University. I still take ownership there. And I graduated with 3 women in the 90s.
In the whole class.
3 in my graduating class, there was 3 women of computer science. And now I know this will be shocking by the time the end of this interview, but I'm very extroverted. So I would just make the study groups, right? Like, because otherwise I wasn't going to be in them and things like that. But I'm so extroverted that I had friends, and it was a great group. In fact, a lot of us still talk even all these years later from that group. But the reality is you face things even in college. Like I remember a professor pulling me into his office, and telling me no girl could write this code. And so I had to go through line by line of what my thought process was and what that meant. And again, that was a rare situation. I had other professors that were just incredible. And again, some that I stay in touch with all these years later. But there is a dynamic of othering that can happen, that can experience.
I see it too. Yes.
And it's hard. There is a moment I remember early on in my career, I got a lead developer position. And I had been helping my colleagues actually finishing their code, doing things. I just code. I still will see it. I don't code anymore, but I see a line of code and I'll still get a little excited. Like I was like, oh my gosh, there's a null pointer exception. And I still have a dynamic with it. But there are these moments. I mean, we're digging in right away and right off bat, but I received a lead developer promotion and received a phone call asking who I was sleeping with. And I remember contacting another female and going, and I'll kind of to your statement that you made, words that kind of stayed with you. And she went, I wish I could tell you it's the last time you're going to have that. And so I think there isn't going to be one solution. There's lots of factors that come into play in creating inclusive, collaborative environments. And it is a struggle in different ways of what does it mean, what does it not mean. And I was never technically architect level. Like I was a good algorithm, syntax, I could get it to do. I was detail oriented, so I could find the defects. I would methodically go through my code, right? Mm-hmm. I even was the person who would print my code out so I could literally physically line by line go through it, right? I was that person. But there is so many factors that are often silent or hidden or just struggles that are present that start early in terms of whether or not people will get into computer science, whether or not they'll stay in computer science, whether or not where they take. But I was never on a path to where I was going to be an architect. I was just never confident in my own technical skills with that. So I think something you said that I would love to see is like, I don't code. I still consider myself a computer programmer.
Yes.
And I think that's part of the identity. It's bigger. It's not just that it's creative and it's not just that it's these things. It's like, I'm not giving up my identity as a software engineer just because I don't code anymore.
That's great.
Like, it's still part of me. It's still part of my identity. It's still part of who I am. My son is now in computer science in college. But I think that that's part of it is like, I was also really good at other things and I chose to do those other things. And that didn't make me any less technical. It didn't make me any less of a programmer. Right. Like,
right.
And I think that that's part of the dynamic that can be a little tough sometimes, at least for myself, was like, if you're not coding, you're not doing it. And I was the director of development, not actively coding. And I remember but I understand the environment. I understand the world. And my job at that point isn't to code. In fact, if you have me coding as the director of development,
yes, I'm sorry.
Like there's other problems going on, right? Yes. But on the same note, could I understand that world? Could I speak to that world? Could I call BS when somebody was like, oh, this is the only reason we do asynchronous messaging? I'm like, no, it's not. And he's like, wait, how do you know that? I was like, because I have this background. Now, I can't call it on a ton of stuff. I'm not coding on a regular basis. I don't always know all the latest tools, but it's one of the things that as a non-practitioner right now, I miss is being able to engage in the technical conversations. That's why I always love getting together with you, right? It's because I can get into those technical conversations. But I do think it's to get some of that inclusivity is to expand the identity of what software engineering actually means.
Yes, you're nailing it. I really agree. How do we expand the identity of what a software developer is?
Yeah, because I don't lose it I'm still actively, I do leadership advisement and I could choose to do that in many different industries. I stay in the software development, with some exceptions, right? But I stay in this industry because I love this industry. I love this profession and this thing that we get to be creative and innovative and solve problems.
I know, it's so amazing.
I don't want to give that up.
There's no career like it.
No, I'm not giving it up.
Yeah.
Can't take it away, but it is hard. It is hard once there's other dynamics that are involved. I was very lucky to have a husband that was supportive so that when I did get married or started having kids, I could keep working. And there's just so many dynamics that can come into play.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'm so glad you didn't give up because we need you in this world and many more of us too.
Yeah. And I think there's an interesting thing of just that visibility, right? When I was still in Michigan, I would do a lot of events for different colleges and stuff to where they could see that there are different parts of identities when it comes to software engineers. And it isn't all just one thing, because that can be scary for different people, and not just based on gender, just a multitude of intersectionalities. And it's like, oh, I got to be behind a computer for the rest of my life. And it's like, no, but you've got to talk with people.
Yes.
You've got to talk with business owners and figuring out what problems you're solving.
And that's the key skills,
Oh, those are like some of the skills we really should have been taught more of, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But just how to have a conversation.
It's critically important.
It's crazy. How to explore, how to unlock, or how to experiment with things versus having a list of here's exactly what you're building. Because it's just not very common that way.
Yes. How to visualize,
which
is problem solve.
Why I think that diversity set, that intersectional set is so important.
Exactly, because it's so many different perspectives, and that's so much what we need.
Yeah.
Yes. So can you see the courage that it takes to be in this world,
Yeah.
And I want to just say that you are watching this have that courage too.
Well, and that's the thing is I do sit here with a sense, with honoring my privilege, right? I have been in this industry for a long time. I have built a reputation. I have check marks next to my name, right? I can say these stories.
Yes.
I can highlight these things. I can share my experiences. And there might be somebody that isn't able to right now, whether it's because of a power dynamic, it's a safety issue, whatever thing. And I remember how many times people are like, wait, that happens? And I'm like, but it's hidden sometimes. And so I'm in a space now where I can share it, where it's not going to hurt my business, hurt it. You know, like I'm not afraid of retaliation. I'm not afraid.
And you live through so much.
And so I can be that person that will highlight. I don't speak on behalf of everybody. I don't claim to have all the same experiences by any means, but I do try to choose topics and things that I was like, what do I want to rant about? Because I mean, whatever. But also, what maybe can I say that somebody else can't right now?
Yes.
And so that was a big portion of why Diana Larson and I included inclusivity and inclusive collaborations into our book.
Yes, that's so good.
Yeah,
that's great. And for me, a huge part of why I teach and why I work with people is exactly that, to give the opportunity to people who maybe were told that they didn't have it, but I know they do.
And I almost failed Calc 3, people. I hate Calc 3. Never used it once.
Never used it. No one has ever used it.
Not once. Yes. And I hated Calc 3.
Yes.
But I almost walked away from that.
Yes.
Because in my mind, I was like, well, if I'm not good at Calc 3, I can't be that. Like, I've never used it.
And everybody has that same
I'm sure there are people that used it. No offense to Calc 3 professors. But
I've met one person that used it. He does advanced mathematics with computers and graphics. But aside from that, I've never met anyone who used all the weed out courses that they give you in college to try to
part of computer science and that thing was, it was part of engineering. So my degree was computer science and engineering. So I had to take all the physics, and it was, but I hated Calc 3. But I almost walked away, and then later I've never used it my entire life. So
why did they do this? Why did all computer science curriculums make it so that you had to take the hardest courses to be able to get into the CS degree program?
I don't know. I do think there is a tie to having it be an engineering degree, because there are some colleges, if it's an information management degree, a BS or BA degree, they don't have to take certain ones. So I think it was really leaning into the engineering part. But again, when there's only so many females, your professors are majority male, these dynamics, it can be really intimidating. Now I'm a really not only extrovert, but try and shut me down, see what happens. So I'll push with those things, but not everybody should have to do that or those things. And so one of the coolest things that I'm seeing now a lot more with colleges is they're actually creating programs to try and create some of that support, communities, in different areas with those. So that's cool to see. And then there's a lot of programs for professionals out there. I just did a keynote for Society of Information Management, the women's chapter. And it was just really wonderful to be in that kind of environment. And there's benefits to that. Just the benefit of I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. This has happened to somebody else as well. But I would argue that I think that sometimes that pressure is we do a comparison. There's a study, and I don't remember what the exact numbers are, so don't quote me on this, but you're recording me, but still don't quote me, is that men in general will read a resume job, or not a resume, but a job posting. They'll see one thing and go, oh, I qualify, and apply for it. Women will go through it, see the whole list and not qualify for one thing and go, sorry, I'm out. And it's just such a different, we want to make sure, or at least I always did. I always wanted to make sure I had all my boxes checked. I was imposter syndrome galore. I wanted everything. I wanted to know that I had my position. It was from worth. It was valid, right? And so I would go above and beyond a lot of times with it.
Yeah.
But that's exhausting. And so then people burn out. And so there's an element of helping people not only know that software engineering identity is bigger than just I sit behind a computer and just write code, but also that it's multifaceted in the sense of it evolves. It changes. What you were doing even 10 years ago is different than what you're doing today.
Yes, absolutely. And it's about finding all different problems to solve and being creative. I think that's what a lot of people outside the industry don't understand as how intensely creative it is.
Yeah.
And so much fun to solve problems and encounter new problems every single day. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And even in situations where I was like, I've done a lot of like financial banking apps and applications and stuff. And I was like, if I never see another banking application, I might be okay with it in the rest of my life.
Ditto.
But the reality is it's still problems. And now, you know how much I use my banking apps? A lot on my mobile phone, right? Like, so even though it wasn't that, it's led into that, right? It's a different dynamic.
Yes. Cool. That's so cool. Well, I feel honored to know you, and I feel honored to have you in our industry. Thank you so much. It was so wonderful talking with you.
See you, and I'm so glad to be here in person. That this could happen with these things.
Yes, I can't wait to share it.
I look forward to hearing as you update your stats with this stuff, with how you're reaching out and trying to draw in, but also just give a space where some of those voices can be heard that are different than everybody, maybe other people's experiences and stuff.
Yes. Well, I hope this is a start of a new tradition for me, where I can bring in lots of people to.
Well, I have a big list of people. I can point you to some people. So we'll get you going with it.
Right on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you.